Hi guys, what's going on? This is Champs here, and welcome back to my channel. And today we're back on Forza Horizon 2, and I want to do this video, but I'm not quite sure how I want to do it, because when I see these sort of videos on YouTube, I'm just like, anyone can make one, but it's just like, what's to your taste? So let's get into it. So today, this video's about drifting and drift builds. So you're probably thinking, anyone can drift, and I don't drift very often. I would rather just cruise. But I'm just gonna make this video because this is the setup which on this BMW M3, I think it's perfect, or for me it's perfect. But then you see lots of videos on YouTube actually saying, this is a good drift build, this is a good drift build, and then you've watched about 5, and they're all different. But, if you've just got into drifting, that build doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna, be able to drift that car like that. So, what I'm gonna do is, you know, show you my settings on this car, and then you just, you can vary them through other cars, or this car you could do it on. So, yeah, but it doesn't mean because they can drift in it, you can drift in it. It just means, the settings of your car, what you like. So now you're probably wondering, I'm talking about this for ages now. So you're probably asking, what is the setup? So for this setup, what you're gonna have is you're gonna have the front tires on a 30 psi, and then you're gonna have the rear tires on 40. Now this, you want lots of power at the back. You don't want the tires to be, you want them to grip really good, but then you don't want them to be, really flat into the ground, so you can't get the soft is not going to let it slide around. So the hard tires are going to let the rear wheel drive, just slip out nicely. On the front, you want it to grab in nicely for you to turn on some direct angles. Now the next thing you want to do is the gearbox and the gear ratios. I can't remember if I've actually done any work to these, but if I have, then yeah, just copy this down. Then for the front springs, I think I kept them like that because they are pretty good. The ride height, I put them both completely slammed the furthest they would go, because the more downforce, the less drag, the more you stick to the road as you're going around the corner. And then pretty much for the rest of the build, I pretty much just kept everything stock, or on the tune setup, I put everything pretty much stock, because there's no need to change it, and for me, personally, it was completely fine. So now, with that setup being done, and hopefully, for me, that is pretty much perfect, for me to drift on this build. But then for you, it might not be, and you might have to, tweak around with the settings that I've done. So now what I'm going to show you is the car performance stats. So now on this car performance, this is all on the stock engine. No need to do, an engine swap, or if you wanted to, you could. So on all of the, the engine, exhaust, the cams, the pistons, all of this, you want it to just go to the end and go to the best one that you can pick. Then it should all come up to about 555 horsepower-ish if you haven't done an engine swap. And around this, power, it should be perfect for this build. Then the same goes for this, for the brakes, the suspension. Just do it the best you can for the best performance. If you like a heavy car, leave all these off. If you like a light car, just keep them on. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go and do exactly the same to the transmission and gearbox and everything. You want the best on this side. Then for the tires, you want to set the front tire to the 225 35R19. This is the perfect width to radial wheel size for this drift build. To me, it seemed really perfect. Then you want to set the rear tyre to the 245/30R19, and again this is just perfect for the build. It's not too thin and it's not too like wide, so grips and slides perfect. So for alloys you can really have anything, any colour, no matter what, just your taste. Preferably they'll be light, but it doesn't really matter at all, just whatever you like really. So for the front rim size you're going to want a 225/35R19 width. This is just so there's not a lot of tyre grab in it, but there's just enough tyre grab in it so it will sling it around nicely. Then we're going to need a 245/30R19 for the rear, and pretty much just the same principle goes because you don't want too much grip on the rear wheel drive as it's going around the corner. So guys, that is the end of the build. Hopefully you guys like it, but again, as I said, this is like a build just like for me, but like which I think other people could benefit from. But you know, if you couldn't drift this build, then that's completely fine. You know, you could just pretty much do the exact same car, just put different, different settings on there, the way how you like to drive it. I wouldn't like, this is probably the only drift video sort of thing I'm ever gonna do, but as you can see here, is what I'm doing. You know, it's pretty easy to do with this build, but then again, as I keep repeating, it's just me. It doesn't mean you're gonna jump on. Unless you drift all the time, you can probably drift anything, but as I said before, I most of the time just like cruising. But anyway guys, hopefully you liked this video. Comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.